Good morning everybody. I hope you enjoyed the first chapter of Peter Rabbit yesterday, and today I'm going to read you chapter 2, which is called Danger in the Garden. Inside her cottage, Bee uses her fluffiest towels to dry off the rabbits. "You can't keep going in there. That was almost it for you this time," she says in a concerned voice to the rabbits. She pours a blackberry spa water into the bowl that is used especially for these occasions. 4 glorious blackberries pop out. Each bunny lunges for the berry. Mopsy and Flopsy fight over one of the biggest ones. Bee looks at the bunnies, her eyes filled with love. She may live alone, but she isn't lonely. Not with her favourite furry animals always around. The cottage is filled with Bee's half-finished portraits. Bee is an artist. She moved to the countryside to work on her paintings, but her talent does not seem to lie in portraits. There are many other finished paintings in the cottage. They are mainly of animals in clothes, and then mostly of rabbits. Some even look familiar. Peter looks at one painting in particular. It's a portrait of a rabbit family, Peter's family, from long ago, a time that Peter can remember as if it was yesterday. The whole family together, his mum, his dad, his little sisters, Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail, and himself, Peter. They would all frolic next to Mr. McGregor's manor. The rabbits were happy, laughing and playing. Peter's father would teach them to walk on 2 legs, and Peter's mother would mark how tall they grew with their paw prints on the wall of their burrow to show how much they've grown. Peter and his father would gather juicy plums from the tree behind Mr. McGregor's manor, filling a basket to take home to the family. But one day the tree shook, and a tractor began to plough over the field where the rabbits had once frolicked. Not only that, the mean old man then built a fence around the plum tree. Sounds quite dangerous, doesn't it? Peter recalls one night he had watched through the window of the burrow as his dad had sneaked under the fence into Mr. McGregor's garden. Then Mr. McGregor had appeared. Oh dear. Looming over Peter's father with a rake in his hand. Peter now remembers seeing that rake come down with a terrible clang. Oh my goodness, I wonder what happened to Peter's dad. Peter had run into the McGregor manor and looked through the window, only to see Mrs. McGregor serving Mr. McGregor rabbit pie. Peter's eyes had filled with tears as he had noticed his dad's blue jacket lying on the ground of the garden. Peter picked it up and put it on. It was too big, but he wore it anyway. Peter shakes his head, trying to get the terrible memory out of his mind. He is soon back in Bee's cottage, safe. He looks around at where his jacket should have been. His dad's jacket lost in old Mr. McGregor's garden forever. Peter looks up again at a different painting, this time a portrait of his mother and father. Bee comes over and kneels down beside Peter. "I promise I'll always be there for you," she said softly as she strokes Peter's head. Bee is gentle and very protective of her rabbits, almost like a mother. In fact, Bee has been a mum to them ever since their own mother died. Bee looks out of the cottage window. The rain has finally stopped and the sun is shining through the clouds. "Oh, the sun's out," said Bee. The rabbits cheer up. The gloom is lifted from the day. Later that day, Bee and her beloved rabbits go for a bike ride through the countryside. They frolic next to the bike's wheels, hop onto a wall, and she rides past and they even race Bee before Peter jumps into her basket. "Isn't it beautiful today?" she says. Peter nods. "I swear sometimes you can understand me," she thought. The rabbits can understand her, but they don't let on. It's the only way animals and humans can get along. If we all knew what we were saying to each other, it would be chaos. Just ask the dinosaurs. Now that's the end of my part. Tomorrow Miss Miller will be reading the rest of the chapter, and I will post a question down below for you to comment on. See you all soon.